pick up that dang sandwich and give it a little bandwidth. What's good, y'all? Soul here, and welcome back to my story mode. So, as of a couple of days ago, we finally celebrated the 29th anniversary of Pokemon, which means that we finally got our first real glimpse into Pokemon Legends ZA. For the course of an entire year, we had absolutely nothing to go on. No information, no real visuals, nothing outside of this very vague trailer that they gave to us last year on Pokemon Day. And can I just say, I am so happy that we never have to use that footage ever again. Oh my goodness. We have been sitting here for over a year clawing for scraps, digging through dirt, reaching as far as we possibly could into the deepest barrels and wells, searching for an ounce of information. And now we have it by the boatload. And of course, now that we're actively seeing this game for the first time and really being able to delve into its details, it made me realize how completely out of pocket any of my assumptions, any of my predictions, and any guesses that I had were. But of course, if you were to receive a picture with a complete lack of information, all you can do is speculate and guess. What was the intentions behind the picture? What does this mean for the future of the person that made said picture? What happens now? Our information was limited, therefore our imagination was not. As a matter of fact, it was the complete opposite on full throttle. All of that to say, I kind of want to go back through a couple of my old thoughts here and see what changed and how I feel about that. So with that all being said, the drill is good and well known by y'all by now. Go ahead, grab a seat, get cozy, grab yourself a nice hearty meal. May I recommend a plate of buffalo wings with a side of ketchup for you to dip them in while we talk about everything that I was wrong about in regards to Pokemon Legends ZA. Now, the first and most important thing that we have to acknowledge here is the fact that there is absolutely nothing ancient about this game at all. When you look up the term legend, the dictionary states as follows: a traditional story sometimes popularly regarded as historical, but unauthenticated. So, in simpler terms, a story passed along by somebody that nobody can confirm because they don't truly know the origins of it. So naturally, of course, when I hear the term legend, I associate that with tales of old. Which, to be fair, in my defense, was extremely fitting in the case of Pokemon Legends Arceus. Ugh, I hate saying Arceus. I'm gonna say Arceus, get over it. Simply put, it was a story of a child who traveled to the past to, in the simplest way possible, save the world, and they did that. And of course, nobody can confirm that story because it took place possibly hundreds of years ago. Nobody's around to confirm that. But with a tale like that, you would figure, okay, the next Pokemon Legends game is also going to take place during a time of old. But according to this trailer, that could not be farther from the case. Not only is this game modern as hell, it utilizes technology that no other prior Pokemon game has utilized up to this point. And I'm specifically talking about that frame where the one gentleman was having a conversation with what looked to be a trainer in a full digitized state. That is crazy. So, you know what? From now on, I will doubt nobody when it comes to theories, because everybody that said that this game takes place in the future was 100% right, and you deserve a pat on the back, a pin, and a gold star, because my goodness, what a call out. We are literally just taking the Lumio city that we already knew and building it up even more so, which is absolutely insane because it's already one of the biggest cities in the franchise. So making it bigger, making it better, absolutely insane. But an exciting prospect nonetheless, something I'm very much looking forward to. But I will say it is strange for a game like this to be utilizing the Pokemon Legends title, when in reality, it could have just been Pokemon Z. They didn't need to add the Legends title, but they probably felt the need to do that to get people hyped because they realized that people were really pleasantly surprised with the outcome of Pokemon Legends Arceus. And aside from that, this game has a lot of mechanics that seem to differ very heavily from Legends Arceus, so I don't know, to even put these games in the same family, I mean, we'll have to see when we get our hands on it, but so far, this is looking like a very different game. However though, in all fairness, and I will say this as many times as it needs to be said, Pokemon Legends Arceus was made on a complete whim. So yeah, of course this one's gonna seem like a more fleshed out version of their ideas, so that makes plenty of sense. We could go ahead and just leave it at that. The next thing that I have listed here is the fact that the starter choices, nobody in their right mind would have guessed any of these starters at all. I made a video like 8 months ago talking about all of the possibilities of the starters that could show up in Legends ZA. I went through every generation of starters and talking about their likelihood of which one is most likely to get picked of the 3. The reason for this is because in Legends Arceus, we got Cyndaquil, Rowlet, and Oshawott. 3 very different Pokemon from very different generations and very different regions that had nothing to do with Generation 4. So that made me consider 2 possibilities. One was that they were probably most likely going to grab different Pokemon from different generations, different regions, and yada yada yada. Starters that were completely separate from one another. 2, I figured because Cyndaquil was in Pokemon Legends Arceus, I figured they wouldn't grab from Generation 2 again. Brother, they're making me look like a fool out here, man. What the f? So, suffice to say, I was wrong on a million different accounts because not only did they grab Totodile, they also grabbed Chikorita. Both of them from Generation 2, and then they slapped Tepig in there. Don't get me wrong, Feraligatr is tough as hell, and Meganium, that's sick. Emboar, definitely my favorite of the 3 choices in Generation 5. But like, we couldn't spread it out a little bit more? Just a little bit? Like, we really couldn't just throw in Froakie, the Pokemon that originated from Pokemon X and Y, to be the water starter so that we can have that variety from multiple generations? Are we serious? You're gonna sit there and tell me that Turtwig, Snivy, and Grookey all didn't make the potential cut for the grass type choice? Why not? Again, please understand when I say that I am totally fine with these options. I just find it very strange that they didn't pick from a wider variety instead of picking 2 Pokemon from the exact same generation. But regardless, I said it on Twitter, I'm gonna say it here. At this point in time, it does not matter how you or I feel about the starter choices right now because they are going to be defined by their mega evolutions, because we know for a fact that all 3 of their final evolutions, no doubt in my mind, are getting megas. And you know what? Something tells me Mega Feraligatr is going to be an absolute demon on the field, brother. So we'll see what happens. I'm still Team Emboar for now, but we'll play it by ear. We'll have to see what happens with all that. My next major bungle is actually about AZ himself. Throughout the course of the entire year, I predicted that the story was going to be based on one factor and one factor alone. What kind of king AZ was going to be in Legends ZA? Again, I assumed that it was going to take place in the past. But what point in the past? Was he going to be the tyrannical king? You know, the angry one that lost his friend? Is he going to be the remorseful, regretful king that regrets firing the weapon and regrets losing his best friend? Whatever happened with AZ was going to determine the course of the story. This tall-ass MF that needs to be called out to LA to play for the Lakers is chilling out, swagged out in his drip, his best friend working with him to run a hotel in the biggest city in Kalos. This man does not care about a title because he's already wearing the crown. That is a king if I've ever seen one. Go head on, my boy. Good Lord Almighty. That man is experiencing pure happiness right now. What could stop him? So nice that he's renting out a free room to what's probably gonna be a foreigner, us, from another region. Granted, it is still very possible that he could and probably will be still very integral to the plot, but I mean, probably not as a bad guy. I simply don't see that happening, but then again, we have seen crazier twists in Pokemon, so who knows? Maybe he could snap a second time and lose his mind. Something happens to Floette, that's all he's got to do to crash out, apparently, so who knows? I still very much hope that AZ does genuinely serve some bigger purpose to whatever plot happens to be present within this game, and I'm sure that there is one, but we'll have to play that one by ear. Now, the next thing that I was definitely wrong about is, again, because this doesn't take place in the past, the city doesn't appear to be in any imminent danger. Again, I assumed because of the Legends title and because they told us very early on that we were going to be in Lumio City the entire game, I figured we would have to save Lumio City. It does make sense, though, to make that assumption, right? I would figure that a bunch of out-of-control Pokemon would be terrorizing the city one way or another in each section of the city, and because it's so big, you would spend a lot of time in there building up people's trust and, helping rebuild the place while also chasing out these very dangerous Pokemon. Yeah, no, this city is bustling. They are coolin', they are chillin', they're having coffee on the street. No, these people are perfectly fine. The city is clearly perfectly fine. At least for now. Again, we don't know what the plot is, but the city is not in any imminent danger that I assumed that it was gonna be by the time that we arrived to it, which now is very much not the case. Not to say that the city can't eventually be in danger. Maybe Zygarde is doing something, but I don't know. I don't really get that vibe. You know what? I guess it is safe to still make a couple of baseless assumptions here and there, considering the fact that we have no information on the story in regards to Legends EA yet, even with this trailer. So I think it's okay to make a couple of random guesses here and there. One way or another, Zygarde is going to either be our ride Pokemon, or it's going to be the primary antagonist of the game. I guess we'll see when we see. And then the last thing that I feel like I was completely wrong about, and even if I didn't say this out loud, I still feel like this was incorrect to even assume, is the fact that this game doesn't necessarily feel like a Legends game or a traditional Pokemon game. It feels like something right in the middle. I assume that because it was going to share the Legends title with Arceus, that a majority of the mechanics that we already knew were going to follow suit. Not only does the game not take place in the past, but it also appears like a lot of the mechanics that we've come to know from Arceus probably isn't going to be present based on the aesthetic alone. Firstly, for obvious reasons, I assume that there's not going to be a camp situation at the beginning of every Wild Zone, because why would there be? You could just walk out of the Wild Zone and go back to your hotel. Secondly, they probably wouldn't set up Wild Zones inside of an entire city if there were alpha Pokemon that were dangerous enough to make it out, which there clearly doesn't seem to be. Thirdly, there's no crafting mechanic, because why would there be? We're in modern times, we don't need to craft our own Pokeballs and potions anymore. There are stores for that, and we're making plenty of money from trainer battles, which is my number 4. Trainer battles are going to be a much more critical thing this time around, and I will talk more about this later, but if y'all notice at the end of the video of the presents, there was that little snippet that showed, oh, promotional match ready to go. I'm assuming they're doing the exact same situation as the anime, where you're getting points by battling trainers and ranking up that way. And you and I both know that's not something that was happening very often in Legends Arceus, because people were still scared of Pokemon, so trainers were a dime a dozen. And that kind of brings me to my final point, 5. The most important aspect, which is the battle system, something that Legends Arceus was not working with. Yeah, Legends Arceus was very quick and seamless in all of its battles, but real-time battles? That was not a thing. It was still very much turn-based. I feel like this game is probably the closest we're ever going to get to what a real Pokemon battle would feel like in real time. I do kind of, however, wish it would just let us take control of the Pokemon as opposed to just dodging actual attacks with the trainer, but we'll talk more about that in its own dedicated video. Simply put though, Legends Arceus was not moving on that type of time whatsoever, and making me, once again, completely wrong about any of my assumptions in this game following in any form of footsteps that Legends Arceus set out for it. It did take a couple of elements from previous titles, sure, no doubt about that. All in all though, this is not at all what I was expecting this game to look like by any means. I'm not mad about that, but my god, I could not have been more wrong on literally every front imaginable. I mean, parkour? Parkour? That's crazy. Why is there parkour in a Pokemon game? We'll talk more about this, for sure. We're going to have more dedicated discussions about every element that we know of so far, so we'll get to that. Overall, though, I'm glad to be wrong. I'm glad that this game surpassed and completely eradicated any expectations that I had, and just did its own thing and surprised us with something completely brand new instead of taking the easy route and giving us just a simple evolution of what we'd expected from a Legends game. And they just did more, and I couldn't be happier about that. And there's probably a lot of elements in Legends or ZA that we can look forward to in later generations too, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. We gotta wait till at least probably the holiday season, apparently, to get this game before we can make assumptions like that. So we'll see how things play out. But hey, you know what? Maybe that's just me. So that just about does it for this little take here. I got work to do, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna pass the mic over to you guys, and I want you guys to tell me what you guys are thinking in the comment section below. Do you feel like you were in the wrong when you made assumptions in regards to what Pokemon Legends EA was going to be about? Do you feel like me right now, completely incorrect on all of your guesses and just super foolish? Or were you not off your rocker and you were right about any and all of your predictions in regards to Pokemon Legends EA? Tell me everything you guys are thinking in the comment section below, because you know for a fact that I'm always going to be down there with you guys. But with that, it does appear to be skedaddle the clock, so I'm going to go ahead and do just that. I would like to thank you guys ever so much for watching. I truly do hope you enjoyed. Do me the greatest favor of dropping a like and a comment, and consider subscribing for more content just like this here. And with that, I'm gone. So thanks again, hope you enjoyed, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. Do me the greatest favor of taking good ass care, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!
So new, can't handle us. So cool, baby, scandalous. I am showing you what I'm talking about. So cool, baby, watching out. It's a